Oh my gosh, we're live. We'll just wait a bit. Do you usually wait a bit?
No, just go into it.
Do ya? Okay, well I'm gonna go into it then. Welcome everybody. I'm Sept Dupuis with Dupuis team. We've got masks on today. I'm at Keller Williams West Santa, and I'm here with Kamina Fleming on our team. Really, thank you for joining us.
Of course.
It's fun. I'm bringing with you our weekly stats this week, and then we're going to go over the stuff on the board. So it's going to be a little follow-up to last week. And let's first go over stats. So we had another active week, and we had a little blip in the stats screen, didn't we?
We did.
And you're really active also in the market, working with both sellers and buyers. So you're seeing both sides of that coin right now. So I'm probably going to ask you some strategic questions to help share some information with the audience today. So first thing, we'll just go over stats. 77 active new listings this week, that's down a little bit.
Yeah.
Which we don't like to see that, do we?
No, we like to see more inventory on the market, and we're seeing less.
Sellers, come on.
It dropped from 104 to 77 this week.
Help us out here, sellers. Some other good stuff in the inventory this week. Inventory went down.
Yeah, total residential inventory went from a total of 354 down to 322.
So we had a drop of 5% from last week to this week. So we've been going up 5% for a period of months now. We had a drop of 5%. This could be just a blip in the screen, but we'll have to wait till next week to see what happens. Here's a trend that I've been seeing week after week lately that we do want to draw your attention to, and that is the price reduced on listings. At one point this week, I was watching the stats, and it was up to 49 homes had been price reduced in the last 7 days. And as of Monday, we had 33 price reductions. Really, really high, folks. I mean, we usually, for the last couple of years, have been seeing 1 or 2 a week, or in the single digits. So 33 is high, and
really high.
I noticed it earlier this week. It was up at, in the high 40s. That's an indication. Do you think that's due to the market softening a bit, or do you think it's due to sellers being overly optimistic on what their house value is?
Well, we often see in past years that by fall, winter, things start to slow down a little bit, whether that's inventory or price point. And it's not the heat of summer anymore. So
right.
I think that sellers are being a little too over optimistic and pricing too high. People realize they can't afford that or don't want to pay that, looking at comparables. Right. Any good agent should look at the comparables. And people just don't want to buy that. So
right.
yeah, they sit on the market too long, and then people wonder what's wrong with it. Those are the opportunities for you to go in, ask the agents why the home's been on the market. It may be a good opportunity for your buyers to get in if they've been competing against multiple offers in the past.
Yep, and buyers, pro tip right there. Go look for homes that have been on market for, what would you say, more than 15 days at this point? We're looking at more than 20 days.
Yeah, so what's the...
Days on market went down to 12, but
yeah,
they've been around, it's been around 17, 20 for the last few weeks. So
if it's been on the market for more than 2 weeks, 3 weeks, definitely take a look. Ask the agents if they have had any offers, and if the seller's motivated.
Yeah, make sure the seller's motivated, because we're seeing more sellers out there right now who are just testing the market. They're like, oh, if I can get this, then great, and if not, we'll pull it off the market. And my word to sellers is, if we're going to go over some things going on right now in the general economy that we believe may likely affect the housing market at some point. And, if you think you're going to be selling in the next 5 to 7 years and want a decent price in the next 5 to 7 years, I'd seriously consider taking the price you can get right now, because this might be the highest price you see. We are at the top of the market. And, I wouldn't, what they say, don't game the market, it's going to game you. Mm-hmm. So, all right. So, inventory this week, 322. This is for all of Kitsap County. Sales price to list price for buyers is at 103.17%. That means buyers need to offer 3% over list price in general in order to get a home under contract. That's an average obviously it's going to vary home to home. So listen to your broker, ask some questions. You and I were talking prior to the filming here. You know, we got a home under market or under contract this week. It was a FHA buyer, low down, and we were able to get the seller to pay closing costs for the buyer. Unheard of. That hasn't happened in so long. I mean, really, we've been communicating to buyers, you've got to have a good amount of cash in order to get a home under contract in this market. And we're talking about why that's still true, yet we are seeing a few isolated cases where some buyers are able to get under contract. And really, what's the difference here? If you're a buyer, and I would recommend most buyers, and you're saying most buyers still need cash.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay,
absolutely.
so messages, buyers, market's cooling off a little bit. I'd say so, but you still need cash. It's still a hot market. And what's the difference? If you're a buyer with not much cash, do you think it's worth them maybe starting to look around a little bit?
It depends. It depends on your price point, the areas you're looking in, and the type of home. Like I said earlier, if you're looking at homes within the price range and they've been on the market for a while, I've noticed that any homes $500,000 and above, you may have a better chance if they've been sitting on the market. Below $400,000 or even $500,000, that's a very competitive market.
It's a bloodbath.
Yeah.
It's still a bloodbath.
You might be competing against 4 or 5 other offers.
Right.
Might not be 10 or 20, but you're still competing against multiple offers.
Right. Yeah, and what we did, by the way, is we got a home under contract under $400,000, but it was a fixer that we're able to get through FHA, which takes some skill.
Yeah.
I'll say. Right, and we'll pat Joey on the back too, who was the helper on that. So,
Awesome, Joey.
yeah, right, Joey Walker. So, yeah, but you're absolutely nailed that. It's a bloodbath under in that bread and butter range right now. I mean, it's just, so, buyers, still stop buying stuff you don't need, stash the cash, come in with cash, and be strategic with your offers. Make strong offers and listen to your broker. Your broker might be telling you need to make a really competitive offer on one house and then give you opposite info on the other, and it's because of what the property is. It's not, you can't generalize that it's because of the market. It's based on the property right now. So, I mean, all right, let's go to this, because last week we talked about Evergrande, and that was a lot of information, really heavy, and here's what we're trying to communicate to you is that basically, and you and I talk about this, because Comuna has an investment background like I do, and we have to understand what's going on in the bigger economy, what's going on economically. Why is that important for anyone who's looking to buy or sell or invest?
It's good to just know the market trends in general. You don't want to make bad investments or jump into a market at the heat of it and then it crashes or something crazy like that. You want to make sure you know the numbers, you see the trends, and you see what's going on around you, because if you make a bad decision, you could regret it later.
Right. Basically, surprises suck.
Yeah.
They can really suck if you're, well, we know what happened during the 2008 crash. A lot of home flippers got caught with their pants down, is what happened. And so, if you're, a home buyer and equity is important to you, you might want to know this. If you're a home seller and you're like, look it, we eventually want to sell this soon in the next few years, you may want this information today. Because what we're going to talk about today is what's going on economically, both nationally and worldwide. And what happens economically eventually affects housing. And people are like, no, housing's gone up, when the economy's gone down before. And it has in general, but it hasn't very often in our area. And here's the reason why. So, if you even go back to the 2008 crash, there are certain places, even in the 2008 crash, where housing still went up. Buffalo, New York was one of them. Oklahoma City. There's a couple places where housing actually increased or stayed stable during the 2008 crash. There are also cities, and Seattle was one of them. We were in the top of the pile where our appreciation went down more than anywhere else in the United States. We had a decline of around 52% during the 2008 recession. And I don't know, have you heard this from people? They're like, I'm not worried about Kitsap County because, what are some of the reasons people aren't worried about Kitsap County?
Because they're so close to Seattle.
We're so close to Seattle. What's another one?
Because of Amazon and all the tech industries.
Good. What's another one?
Ferry systems.
Ferry systems. I've heard military. We have such a strong
yep.
economic base in military, and we've got this government support. We're going to be fine. Well, folks, we had all of that back in 2008, and did it help?
Obviously not.
No, no, because none of that matters. And other cities, California, cities in LA, had similar responses to the 2008 crash and other recessions too. This is a trend that has happened throughout many recessions in housing. So the better tool to look at housing and how much housing prices are going to be affected is how much the housing has gone up since the last correction in relation to wages. So as we all know, Seattle wages have stayed fairly consistent, but our housing has done what?
It's increased.
It has flown up. Whereas Buffalo, New York did this. Wages and housing went together.
Mm-hmm.
So where wages and housing tend to increase together, during a correction, they tend to be fairly stable throughout the correction. In Seattle, we have a very volatile housing market is all. So there's lots of appreciation right now, but it'll also fall just as far as it corrects. Good thing or bad thing that it does that?
Depends on what side you're looking at.
Right? There are three sides to every coin. Basically, take advantage of the knowledge. We're simply here to educate you. So if it's really high right now, and you know the likelihood statistically is it's going to do this again, what should you do? Grab the goodies up here. That's what we're saying. That's all. So, here's what's going on right now. We talked last week about Evergrande, China's largest real estate company. It's also a lender. It is 2% of the Chinese GDP. China's already doing power outages to conserve money. Do you think that's going to affect China?
There's a lot more going on in China than that, probably.
Okay. Well, and that's a good point too. There's a lot more going on in China than that, but 2% of the GDP, this company is defaulting. All right. U.S. economy. Here's what we have going on. Everyone's like, it's fine. It is. It's stable, other than
For now.
Congress talking
Stable
about
for now.
defaulting October 18th. But
Yeah.
they do that act every year. Okay, so here's what's going on though. A lot of people keep calling crash, no crash, and people get sick of it, and they've been calling this out for like 20 years, and it never happens. Here's what I'd be watching if I had a house to sell, or if I was buying and I was worried about the value of my house. We have a labor shortage right now. Well, they're calling it a labor shortage. Others are calling it the Great Resignation. Bottom line, we have a labor issue right now. I'll just call it a labor issue. We have some 11 million jobs available, 9 million people unemployed, and those 9 million are not taking the 11 million jobs available, and that's causing an economic problem for the United States. FedEx reported an $880 million loss last week. That is one company out of the United States. That's a huge loss. It caused them a stock loss, and it's causing them earnings losses. Every company is struggling with hiring, and restaurants are having to shut down. They're going from open 7 days a week down to 5 days a week, let's say, or less. Everybody's being affected by this, and that's going to cost the U.S. economy money. That is my bet. So multiply that across every business in the United States. How much will that affect our economy? You can do the math on that. But I bet this is something to watch. And if this keeps going, you know, it'll eventually have an effect on a ripple effect on the economy. And it's already affecting the supply chain, which we're going to go to next, and eventually the housing market. Okay, next thing. Interrupt me here too, because I tend to get...
Well, I just wanted to say that everybody for a long time, and still are, saying we need to create jobs in the U.S. We have created the jobs, and now nobody's taking the jobs.
This is a bigger issue than that.
You can't create the supply when there's no demand.
I think we're at a point too where we have a bigger issue than something that's simple that's going to fix it. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. And it's not going to get, I keep watching businesses go, it went like this. I don't have enough workers. I'm not going to work. And then they said, well, we need more. The business owners thought, oh, they must need more money, finally. Mm-hmm. We'll pay you more then. And then what did the workers say?
Not enough.
Still not going to, right? And we're not going to get into the politics of this. This is not a political show. This is just what's going on. And so that we've got a stalemate going, and the issue is bigger than simple solutions. So we might have this going on for a while, potentially. Longer than a month or two, I'm guessing. Mm-hmm. Supply chain. The labor shortage in the U.S., issues in China, COVID in Asia have all caused supply chain issues. We have a glass shortage, which is directly affecting housing because what do we need glass for? Windows. Can't finish the house, it's delayed, can't move in, you don't have windows. Okay? Anyone who's had a broken car window lately knows it's going to be 4 to 8 months out. Computer chips. If you've read what's going on in computer chips, billions of losses in revenue due to the computer chip shortage. So the supply chain issue is causing billions of losses in the United States, let alone worldwide. So watch this. The repo shadow market we've talked about. That's more of a symptom or a sign of a sick economy is what that is. So that's more of a sign of all these other things. We still have 4.6 million people late on their mortgages or rent. We need to know where those people are going to go. Foreclosures are up. They're still very low historically, but they are ticking up. And we have 4.6 million people in the shadow market. Then we've got the Evergrande thing. The Evergrande thing I'd really keep an eye on. That's got to ripple worldwide at some point, I would think. Could be wrong on that, but I would think that that's just going to keep spreading. And then we've got COVID. So we've got a list of things here that in the U.S. economy that also affect the world economy. And so we potentially have a situation that could affect housing at some point, I would think. So if I was a home seller or a home buyer, what would you recommend to home sellers?
Home sellers take advantage of the market while it's high. Home buyers, right now interest rates are still low, and I was just alerted by mortgage lenders that they are upticking interest rates.
Right.
So if that does go up higher, you got to think about the numbers and whether buying now at a higher price and overall interest rate over 10, 15, 30 years is worth it, or buying a home at a lower price. Or maybe we won't even see them drop enough, and you'll just have to pay higher prices and higher interest rates.
Yep.
So think about that. Yeah, there's a lot of things we don't know. I wish we had a crystal ball to tell you, but there's a lot of things to consider and what works best for you at this time. If you need to get into a home, right now is the best. We're short on rentals too.
Yeah.
This area, we're short on rentals. We have so many people and not enough homes. I even know military who are staying in hotels during this time.
We do.
Yeah.
Yep. Easier to buy or rent right now?
I think it's easier to buy right now.
I
think it's easier to buy. There's a lot of landlords.
It might even cost less money to buy.
Right. You might be paying the same amount, if not more, for a rental that you would pay on your mortgage.
Right.
Also, a lot of the rental owners, they are they're freaking out a little bit. They want to make sure they get somebody into their rentals for a long period of time and who are going to pay.
That's well said.
Yeah.
Yeah, very well said. Okay, anything else?
No.
All right. Hey, if you found this video helpful, please leave comments below. Like us. That really helps with the algorithms and Facebook letting us know and then YouTube letting us know that the video is helpful. Share the video. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Like us on Facebook. Kamina Fleming with Dupuis team at Keller Williams West Sound. I'm Stephanie Dupuis with Dupuis team at Keller Williams West Sound. We'll see you right here next week.
Have a good week.
Have a good week, you guys. Thank you, Kamina.
Thank you.
All right.